effectively spend the 3 minutes preparation time in your OET speaking? This is a question often asked by students. Well, these 3 minutes that you get are crucial 3 minutes. It decides your fate for the next 5 minutes of your conversation. You will have a lot of information on the role play card. Now, what should you look at? What should be considered as important? Should I be writing down notes on my card? Am I allowed to write on the card? Should I return the card during the conversation? Can I actually look at it? Should I be looking at the interlocutor? Maintaining eye contact, is that really important? So many questions that come to your mind. Well, in this video, I'm going to discuss exactly that. First of all, the 3 minutes of your preparation time is a time for you to go through the role play card and the different information given there. You can also use these 3 minutes to talk to the interlocutor if you have some questions to ask. For example, you might want to know what name to call the patient, and this 3 minutes can be used for that. For instance, I can ask the interlocutor, how may I address you during the conversation? And he or she will give me a name, and I can note down the name that I should be using during the conversation. Another question that you might want to ask is, let's say you've come across a medical condition written on the role play card and you're not fully aware of it. You can ask the interlocutor for clarification. If the interlocutor is aware, he or she might answer the question. There might be words in the card that you do not know how to pronounce. You can also use your 3 minutes to clarify this with the interlocutor. Yes, the rest of your 3 minutes should be used completely to make notes. Starting with the setting, you go on to the background information and the list of tasks one by one. Make points, write down words that will help you during the conversation, and all of that. Well, let me demonstrate this to you. I'm going to use a recent OET role play card for nurses, of course, and this happened in the October 12th exam. So let me share how you can use these 3 minutes of your time. So this is a recent role play card and it happened on the 12th of October. Of course, this is for the profession of nursing, but whatever I discussed today can be applied irrespective of the profession that you're taking the OET in. Here you need to look at the setting first, and that says school clinic. So this is very important. Some students actually miss this particular step and go directly to the task. So that's not something that I would recommend. Please make sure you read the setting because that will give you an idea of what tone to maintain throughout your conversation. For instance, here it says school clinic. So definitely it means it's not a very critical situation. Mostly, let's say 99% of the possibility is that it will not be a very serious or a critical situation, because if the situation is critical, then the setting would be an emergency department. So the setting is important. Next is the background information. So this background information will give you lots of idea as to how to plan your conversation with the patient or the carer. Now here it says you see the parent of a 6-year-old boy. So you get to know details about the patient. So that's one bit of information you get. So here it's a 6-year-old boy. You also get the patient's age. Mostly the age is mentioned. We know it is 6. But we also know we are talking to the parent. So we are not actually directly in conversation with the patient. Instead, it is the parent or the carer who we are talking to. It says you have asked to see the parent. So you know you have called for, right? So you have requested the parent to come to the school and talk to you. As you have noticed that the child has head lice. So you also get to know the reason for the conversation. So reason why you have called the parent to come over to the school is also clearly understood from the background information. The child is not present for the discussion. So you know you're talking to the parent and the child is not there with you during the conversation. Also because it's head lice, which is the reason, or the medical condition. So the medical condition here is head lice, and you can imagine if there is head lice, what would be the status of the boy. Now he might be physically distracted, or he might be in some kind of discomfort. Now that is something we can infer from the context. So step number 3 is look at the tasks. So remember, all this you're doing in your 3 minutes preparation time, okay. Now we're taking it real slow here, but you know, once you practice this and you become a master at this, you can do it in just those 3 minutes, and it's going to be really easy, and this is going to help you organize your entire conversation. So step 3, we look at the tasks, and when we read the tasks, focus on the key terms here. The first word basically is the action word. Here it says outline reason. Second task says explain. Third, emphasize. Number 4, give details. And number 5, warn parent. So these words are crucial. Why? Because you get to know what task or how you need to perform it. What is your role in this conversation? So outline reason basically means to explain, or it means to talk about. So you need to talk about why you have asked the parent to come. So this is the reason that you need to give, reason for the conversation, right? Now when it says explain, again it is clearly understood you have to explain or talk about. Emphasize basically means to stress. So it is an information that you've probably already given, but the parent is not really convinced. So you have to stress on it. That means you need to reaffirm what you've just said, right? And give details mean, again you have to explain, okay? That means you're going to deliver information. And warn parents simply mean you're going to caution. So you're going to ask the parent to be careful about certain things. So it's important to identify these key terms. Now what else will you do in your 3 minutes of preparation time? You read the entire task. You look out for medical terms. Look out for any medical terms or terminology, because you need to underline those, identify it, and try and use layman language instead. That means simple English. So here if we read through the task, it says child's head lice, not a complicated term. Find out. So again you need to find out means ask questions. Find out simply means ask questions. Find out about parents' awareness of head lice. If child scratching head, evidence small white egg cases. Again there's a find out here in the second task. Explain infestation and find out. That means find out simply means questions. So you have to frame the right questions. Okay. Give details of treatment, explain. Warn parent against using treatment and make further recommendations. So this means suggestions. So these are the areas that you need to cover during your 3 minutes of conversation. So when the question or when the task says find out about something, parents' awareness, you have to in your 3 minutes prepare some questions that you will ask. For instance, here it says find out about parents' awareness of child's head lice. So how will you ask this to the parent? You might put forth a question like, have you ever noticed your child scratching his head? Now we can use his because it clearly says boy. Have you ever noticed your child scratching his head? Or I can say, are you aware that your child has head lice? Okay, this is a question that you need to ask. So frame the question, have an idea of what question you will ask. Now if you look at the second task, it says find out any previous occurrences of head lice. This is question, but it is collecting history, right? Previous occurrences. So your question should be in the right tense form. So you need to collect information about the past. So when you ask questions, you can probably say something like, have you noticed anything like this before? Or did your son have a head lice problem in his early childhood or in his earlier days or when he was a baby? Okay, so taking it to the past, so you are collecting previous information. So go through these tasks one by one and make notes. Now, you know, in your 3 minutes you can ask the interlocutor questions that you might want to ask. For instance, you can ask the boy's name, okay, because it is a school clinic. That means you are a nurse working in the school. You've already met and spoken to the boy before, and that is why you have called the parent, which simply means you will know the boy's name. So you can ask the interlocutor how to address the boy and write down the name. For instance, if I ask the person, how should I address your son? And the interlocutor says, call him John. So I write down John and I draw a circle. Why am I doing this? Because as I talk, if by mistake I forget the son's name, I can always look at my card, and because I have drawn a circle around it, I know his name is John. I don't have to search the entire card for the different points I've made. So this is how effectively you can utilize your 3 minutes time. And if you note down these, now see, so certain other words, like you can see transmission through contact. Transmission is a technical term. So I might not want to use the word transmission. I might use a simpler word. I might say spread. Okay, through contact, spread through, let's say, close encounters, or spread through touch, or I can simplify it saying it is normally spread when children play together, right? So transmission, I might stick on to the word spread. So this is what I mean by using layman language. So look for such complicated terms in your card and write down the simpler terms that you can use. Draw circles for any additional terms or words that you might want to use, because it's easy to identify them in this junk of words that you've written. So as you speak with the interlocutor, make sure to refer your role play card from time to time, the notes that you've made, and maintaining eye contact is not a complete compulsion, but it is mandatory to ensure that you have a very smooth conversation in the 5 minutes time. Wasn't that quite easy? If you use your 3 minutes effectively, you can have a very fruitful conversation. But do keep in mind not to spend your 3 minutes by just staring at the card and making notes mentally. This is what I've noticed some students do. Use a pencil given to you and write down anything on the card. Words, questions, terms, names, things that will help you during the conversation. And yes, you don't have to look at the interlocutor throughout your conversation. Of course, that's not possible because you have to refer your role play cards and the points you've noted down. Well, then I'll leave you guys to practice this method, and I hope this technique really helps you. Good luck with your speaking.
Medcity International Academy. Trusted hands forever.